AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You sir. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Bryan Matthews will join us in about 13 minutes. He covers Auburn. Game 2 at the SEC tournament is in the books. Florida beats Vanderbilt. So, y'all, knock on wood, they are running on time right now.
Don't do this.
They're running on time?
Don't do this.
It's an objective fact.
Don't do it.
It's an objective fact, like how Rule Britannia almost makes me want to be a Brit.
Friggin' Rule
I
Britannia.
said almost.
Oh, man.
It's a great song. Jam. All right, we'll keep you posted. We'll preview LSU and Auburn coming up here in about a dozen minutes. By the way, in hour 3, Ursin Demir. You probably have never heard that name. That's fine. And I've searched high and low to find people who study international basketball for the draft, to get someone on the show who can tell me anything about all these international guys that LSU is getting committed. So Ursin Demir is going to join us in 90 minutes. Last week, NFL released the schedule. One of the major contentions from a Saints perspective is they can break their 5-year playoff-less drought this season because you got the second easiest schedule in the NFL, according to opponents' win-loss percentage from a year ago, and your division isn't very good. So you may not be awesome, but you might be good enough in a bad division against a manageable schedule. Basically, you might be the tallest short kid. With the full schedule release, odds makers have put out the lines, the early lines for every NFL game. And we have this up at LouisianaSports.net, by the way, if you want to see it. It's by division, and you can look at the point spread for every game in the NFL this year. A few notes. I'm going to go through the Saints in a second. A few notes from the NFC South. The odds makers are not very keen on the Panthers. Panthers, remember, won the division a year ago, but playing a first-place schedule should absolutely expose Carolina this year. They're a favorite in 3 games. Carolina, your defending division champ, is favored in 3 of 17 games. And this is by far the worst division in the NFL as far as how they project against in non-division games. The entire NFC South are underdogs in 37 of the 44 non-divisional games. That's 84.1%. The entire division, Bucks, Falcons, Panthers, Saints, collectively are underdogs in 84% of the games against other divisions. The entire division are underdogs in 19 of 20 road games. By the way, the only team favored in a non-division road game is Carolina is favored in week 3 when they go to Cleveland. That's it. Every other time an NFC South team goes away from home to play a non-division game, they're an underdog, which kind of leads you to where the Saints are. I was a little surprised candidly, to see this because the Saints win total, the projected over-under, is 7.5 for New Orleans. And I kind of like the over. Maybe famous last words. I get it. And there's a lot of questions about the Saints. You still have a young, inexperienced quarterback who's only started 9 games. Although they were good at the end of the year, it was against lesser competition. You're replacing a lot of veteran talent, certainly on the defensive side of the ball. Demario Davis out. You got questions. Are you settled at corner? Can you be any better on the interior of your defensive line? Have you really fixed your offensive line? What do you do at running back? You brought in H.N., but is he going to catch fire? I mean, there's a lot of questions. A lot of hope, but a lot of questions. So New Orleans is favored in just 5 games. Despite being they're over under 7.5, they're favored just 5 times. New Orleans is favored at home against the Raiders in week 3. At home against the Falcons in week 4. They're favored at home against Cleveland in week 9. A week later at home against Carolina in week 10. And then they're favored at home against Arizona in week 16. Every other game, New Orleans is an underdog. Candidly, the ones that surprise me the most, weeks 5 and 6 throw me off a little bit here. New Orleans is a home underdog against the Vikings. Now, 2 years ago, the Vikings were awesome, and we know what happened. Sam Darnold goes to Seattle, wins a Super Bowl. J.J. McCarthy steps in year 2, first year as a starter, and the Vikings miss the playoffs. That game's in New Orleans, and there are real questions about Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy. I like New Orleans at home. Now, it's just 1.5. But if you get 3 points, or maybe in the NFL it's 2 for home field advantage, that feels significant that Minnesota is a favorite in the Dome. And then a week later, the Saints go to the Giants. Now, I have a ton of respect for John Harbaugh as a head coach. The Saints beat Jackson Dart last year in the Superdome. They'll go to New York in week 6, and I'm not so sure that the Giants are going to be decidedly better. But the Giants are a 2.5-point favorite over New Orleans in MetLife in week 6. Those two are the ones that really grabbed me like, man, I am surprised. Now, there's some that it's no surprise. The Saints are a 7-point dog in week 1 at Detroit. The biggest number, the Saints are an underdog is week 2 at Baltimore, where it's 7.5. So they're a 7-point dog week 1, 7.5 week 2. You look at some of the others. The stretch that's the toughest is the one we've talked about. 6.5-point dog week 11 at Chicago. 6.5-point dog week 12 at Cincinnati. 4.5-point home dog against Green Bay in week 13. And then they're 2.5-point dog at Carolina. Then 3.5-point dog at Tampa. That stretch, week 11 to 15, is the toughest stretch of this. You have a brutal start, right, at Detroit, at Baltimore. But the toughest stretch of the year is week 11 to 15, at Chicago, at Cincinnati, home against the Packers, at Panthers, at Bucks. That 5-game, 4 of 5 on the road, and you're an underdog in all 5. That's the brutal stretch that will sort of, I think, make or break whatever New Orleans is playing for over a manageable final 3 games, where you're home against the Cardinals, at the Falcons, home against the Bucks. So you got to make hay early. You're going to lose those first 2 very likely against Detroit and Baltimore. But after that, you have a manageable stretch. Raiders, Falcons, Vikings, at Giants, then Steelers in Paris. That's where you have to make your run. And then after your bye, you get Cleveland, Carolina. You got to make your run in that stretch because you know it's going to be brutal week 11 to 15. And so it'll set up whatever you might be playing for in those final 3 weeks. Saints are favored 5 times, as we mentioned. They're an underdog every week from 11 to 15. Biggest they're a favorite is the 5.5 points at home against the Cardinals in week 16. And the biggest they're an underdog, as we mentioned, is week 2 when they're a 7.5-point dog at Baltimore. Tyler Shuck, it's going to be a massive year for Shuck. And whatever the Saints might achieve, they'll do in large part based on whatever Tyler Shuck might be able to progress year 1 to 2. And when he met with reporters Monday, at the Saints Hall of Fame golf tournament. He talked about how different this offseason is as the starter, whereas last year he was coming in as a rookie.
Yeah, I think it's just so much more comfortability. You're going into Kellen's offense year 2. We're being able to kind of really focus on what we want to focus on. The sense of urgency, I think, is the biggest thing that I've been focusing on, and for the whole unit. And then also just, I think everybody is just, we're having fun. We're having fun putting in the work, and we're really close. And I think that's the best part about it.
Then the other thing is obviously him working this offseason with Kellen Moore as the starter. So he was asked about from February, right, season-ending Super Bowl also ends, to now working with Kellen Moore.
I think it's really sit down and kind of evaluate the film from last year and kind of tweak what we may call certain things, and then also kind of tailor it to, how we're trying to attack defenses this year. And so that was really cool to see throughout this install process and OTAs and phase 2 is I think there was a self-evaluation from, my part on what I can work on footwork-wise and setting the pocket, and then also for offensively and how we can kind of get better there.
A lot of optimism, but still a lot to prove. Year 2 with Tyler Shuck. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, 9 locations, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and online at lmfj.com, lmfj.com. They have trades and returns as well. One thing we should mention, you can always go buy a beautiful new piece of jewelry. But maybe you bought that engagement ring when you were maybe young and maybe not quite as far along in your career, and now you're at a point, you got a special anniversary coming up, maybe 10 years, 25 years, whatever it may be. Maybe you want to trade in that old diamond and upgrade for a new diamond. You could do that at Lee Michaels, and they always accept exchanges as well. If you buy something for her and she doesn't love it, bring it back. They'll take it back. Like, they want her to be thrilled. You're buying a beautiful piece of jewelry. It's an expression of your love that should be passed through generations of your family. They want her to be thrilled. So have an exceptional customer service experience and thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, let's After Further Review. Let's head out to Hoover. Bryan Matthews covers Auburn. He'll be with us when we come back so we can talk a little bit about LSU against Auburn. What's at stake tonight for the Auburn Tigers? We'll get to it next on AFR.
AFR.
How many companies encourage you to read their Google reviews? No, really, please, go read what other people are saying about us. Well, at River City's 1 Hour Air, it's a core part of their business. They want you to go read their Google reviews. Because at River City's 1 Hour Air, they have more than double the amount of 5-star Google reviews of their next closest competitor. Because for 40 years, they've done great work at a fair price with expertly trained technicians, and they treat you right. Here's one from Doris Wright, who said, J.J. Mathern, technician, J.J. Mathern did maintenance on my AC. He was very nice. He explained everything to me. Mr. Mathern wore covers on his shoes so he wouldn't mess up my floor. They all do that, by the way. He said, and it had just rained. I was very pleased with him. That's just another thing that they do, always, to make sure they go the extra mile. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
I'm excited. Our team meeting today was review of the last series, of course, to try to learn some little things to help keep growing. But really this week is the first week of us trying to get an opportunity to win a championship. So we'll put our best foot forward to try to do everything we can to win game 1. And, we'd love to stick around for 4 games and try to make a run at this. And our program has not won this tournament since 1998. So we would definitely made a commitment today that we'd all be all hands on deck and play this like you're pursuing a championship.
No ambiguity there. It's Auburn coach Butch Thompson. Tigers have really a lot on the line this week in Hoover. It's LSU and Auburn tonight. 8 o'clock scheduled first pitch. Bryan Matthews from Rivals, good enough to join us here on threes. He covers the Auburn Tigers. Hey, Bryan, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm in Hoover right now up in the right field press box, Tennessee, and the Mississippi State are playing. I think they're about to get underway here pretty soon.
Yeah, we're looking at it here in studio, and State won earlier today. It's Tennessee.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's
Arkansas,
fine.
Arkansas.
Tennessee and Arkansas are going to play Game 3, and then LSU and Auburn will follow that.
Yeah.
We heard the bite from Butch Thompson coming in there. What is Auburn playing for this weekend?
I think they want to win this championship. You know, it's 98, as you mentioned in that split he played, which is a long time. You know, this tournament brings out a lot of Auburn fans, right? Because it's right here in Birmingham, you know, and it's really been a string of disappointing appearances. Probably last time they made the final, I think the best finish they've had since '98 was 2003 when they finished third place. So they've had a hard time even making the semifinals. So most of the time it's one win or no wins, and they're home before the weekend. And I just feel like this team has more pitching depth, more pitching talent, which gives them a chance to win 4 games here in Hoover.
Why have they struggled in the tournament?
Well, I think a part of the problem has been a lack of pitching depth, and I think the other thing is they're just great teams this season. I mean, LSU just about every year, right? Tennessee for a good stretch there. I know Alabama's won a couple of times since then. You know, the SEC's just loaded. It's like, Auburn finished 6th in the SEC, but they're, picked to be a top 5 or 6 national seed. So that's just the way it's gone. But, I don't know why Auburn hasn't played better or hasn't made a run, in almost 30 years. It's kind of surprising, to be honest.
Hey, Bryan, is the feeling there that Auburn has a top 8 national seed locked up, or do they need to maybe win a game or 2 in Hoover to solidify that?
My feeling is yes, because I always think that SEC basketball or baseball tournaments are really overrated as far as, determining a national seed or changing things around unless, you're a team that, makes that run to the championship game or something and need to, boost your standing a little bit there. But I'm not sure this affects Auburn very much either way. I think they're really just playing for a championship here in Hoover. They were at the exact same position a year ago. Number 1 strength of schedule, number 3 RPI, 6 in the conference, and they ended up with the number 4 national seed.
Bryan Matthews is with us from On3, covers Auburn. He's at team.Matt AU if you want to go give him a follow there. All right, let's talk about this game tonight. We know that Marciano is going to get the ball. Jake Marciano is going to get the ball for Auburn. How deep into the game do we expect Butch Thompson might let him extend?
Well, he's on 6 days rest, and he's used to 7. But on the other hand, once he pitches tonight, he doesn't go until probably Friday in the region. So I think they'll be willing to let him go 5 to 6 innings, getting close to that 100-pitch mark, potentially as long as he, is feeling good and, they're not worried about him. There is the addition of the added heat and humidity. It's been a really mild spring so far in Alabama, and this is really the first week we've had this. So I think that could have an effect on Marciano and some of the players and pitchers out here just getting used to that.
Bryan, is there anything going on with that of note with the bullpen or names that LSU fans should know going into the game tonight, considering these two teams didn't play in the regular season?
Yeah, that's been a strength for Auburn. Jackson Sanders, who will you likely see tonight, as long as it's a competitive game. He's good to come in for 3 or 4 innings. He was a starter. Then they decided to move him. A left-hander, maybe a 3/4 arm slot, and just has been just dominant out of that bullpen for them. And, if it's a close game, they're going to feel very confident bringing Jackson in and have a chance to maybe, post 3 or 4 innings, giving up no more than a run or so. So, but you never know. This is the tournament. The ball is flying out today. I don't know how many home runs total, but it's been a bunch. So we'll see if that continues into the night. But, the pitching has been the strength of this team. The bullpen has been very good. They've got 3 other bullpen guys that they feel great about. L.J. Cormier, his dad played in Alabama. He's a true freshman. Auburn's been excellent. I don't think we'll see him tonight, but he's been really, really good. And then Ryan Hetzler, who I think had around 10 saves last year. Not as many this year, but still a guy that's really dependable in the bullpen. So that is definitely a strength of this team.
Yeah, Auburn leads the SEC in staff ERA. Offensively, they're pretty good offensively as well, 5th in the league in batting average. and actually Auburn hitters struck out the fewest amount of times. So this is the pitching staff in LSU that strikes out the most hitters against the offense that strikes out the least. Why has Auburn been able to keep that strikeout number down this year?
It's just that they have that approach, and they've had it for a while where they just try to go middle and don't really try to, go pull side unless they can, time it up on a breaking pitch. But it's usually middle away for them. And it's been that way for a while. I would say that even though you give me those stats, they have had trouble against number one type starters, guys with really good stuff. If LSU starter comes out here and gets a couple of strikeouts or a few early, you'll see this whole lineup struggle. It just seems like they go into a funk there quite easily. So that's something to watch. And I think that's one of their weaknesses is, their approach. Sometimes they lose it and they start looking really, really bad. And then, it's kind of like Georgia. Marciano held Georgia to just 2 runs in, I think, 6 innings last weekend. But they lost 2-1 because the Georgia starter was just cutting them to pieces, and they kept chasing balls in the dirt and stuff. So we'll see how that goes tonight. I think you'll get a good idea of what to expect from Auburn's lineup here early. They usually show their hand fairly early in the game.
Bryan Matthews from On3 covers Auburn at team.Matt AU if you want to give him a follow. Before you go, for Butch Thompson, what's the blueprint? Best case for tonight?
Oh, I think they would love for Marciano to get deep in this game and not have to put too much into the bullpen. Jackson Sanders is the guy who hasn't done it yet, but they talked about him, pitching once and then coming back on a weekend. And they would need that this time. Of course, they got the day off tomorrow if they win. So I think that would be the number one thing for them. And just lineup-wise, just be a little bit successful and have, score some runs, have confidence going into the rest of the tournament if they can win. But I don't think anybody at Auburn is assuming anything, even though LSU is having a down year. I think everybody understands that LSU is one of the premier teams in the country, and they're still going to put a lot of talented players on that field.
He is Bryan Matthews from On3 covers Auburn at team.Matt AU if you want to give him a follow. LSU and Auburn, 8 o'clock scheduled first pitch tonight there in Hoover. Thanks, Bryan. We appreciate it, man.
Hey, appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Of course, always. It's after further review. Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. You hear the rumbling outside, raining, bad weather. Every time you get in the vehicle and you get that little stinging sideways rain, and it could be a little leery, tenuous, maybe, a little dangerous, hazardous situation. You always have great peace of mind when you're driving one of the safest vehicles on the road, and I certainly have that every time I get behind the wheel of my Volkswagen. 9 different IIHS top safety picks. It's the highest safety designation. And whenever you go, I would challenge you to this. If you go shop a Volkswagen, Go to South Point, chat up Mr. Bill, and have him explain to you how Volkswagens are made, like the frame of the vehicle, to be able to withstand impact and why they're so safe and soundly built. It's pretty incredible. Now, I'm not even a science guy. I'm not totally into all the architectural nature of everything. But when you learn, you go, man, that's really smart. It's the great German engineering, the style, feel, performance of luxury, without the cost. And they're manufactured in the US of A at their Chattanooga, Tennessee plant. Looking for a car? Put Volkswagen on your list. southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com, South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, thanks to Bryan Matthews for joining us there on the show. LSU and Auburn, 8 o'clock, first pitch tonight. If you missed it, Tigers beat Oklahoma last night, 6-2 in the nightcap game that went past midnight. Stephen Milam homered late to push a 4-2 lead to 6-2, which would be the final margin. Tigers used 3 pitchers. Of course, William Schmidt was scratched about 30 minutes prior to first pitch with some back soreness. Jay Johnson made the decision that Schmidt wouldn't throw in the game, and it's unlikely, it seems, that Schmidt will pitch in Hoover this week for as long as LSU might be there. And then the Tigers lost Omar Cerna. After the game, this was Jay Johnson kind of giving the update on Omar Cerna, who was injured sliding into home.
Yeah, he got his hand stepped on directly. And it was ugly. I mean, it was really bloody. If you don't like blood, you would not have liked to see it. Had it wrapped up. I'm assuming he got stitches. Have no idea other than that.
So it sounds like Cerna probably unavailable as well. It was ugly. Look, he slid into home, and his hand just went right under the catcher's spikes. So very unfortunate. A season plagued by injuries for LSU. 2 more as you're trying to save your season from key impact guys in Schmidt and Cerna. So if Cerna isn't available tonight, we'll see what they do against the lefty. You'll have right-handed options. Is it Yaman? Is it Simpson? We'll see what they elect to do whenever the lineup is posted. But LSU and Auburn tonight as the LSU Tigers try to extend their season. Auburn Tigers seemingly, if you believe Bryan Matthews there, have a top 8 national seed locked up. I mean, you're third in the RPI, would stand to reason. 17 SEC wins. Probably like to get that number a little higher. You never really know. You want to remove all doubt, and sometimes the conference tournament can do that. So it does feel like there's something on the line there for Auburn, which is why Butch Thompson's going in there trying to win this thing, throwing Jake Marciano tonight. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. When we come back, with all the conversation about 12, 16, 24, college football playoff, all that stuff, Iowa State's athletic director stepped forward and made a very bold proclamation. And it would have to be bold for me to bring up the Iowa State athletic director on AFR. So we're going to do that next. Stay here.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. And Gordon invests so much in our community, not just in the people and, of course, across the state of Louisiana, with some 200 attorneys on Gordon's team. So no matter where you are in the state of Louisiana, there's a member of Gordon's team near you to help you, to serve you. GetGordon.com, getgordon.com. But also the philanthropic arm of the firm, Gordon Gives, which we tell you about all the time, the laptop giveaway, the bicycle giveaway, so many charitable endeavors sponsoring, different nonprofit endeavors all over the state. And, of course, there's the G team through NIL, and then things like Court to Table, which is a great restaurant concept and pickleball concept, of which Gordon is a partner, helping grow Baton Rouge. Get Gordon, get it done.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
You probably don't know who Jamie Pollard is, and that's okay. He's the athletic director at Iowa State. And this week, Jamie Pollard was at a booster event, and he made some comments that ruffled a lot of feathers because he effectively stoked the flames of saying, let the Big Ten and the SEC seed. Let them go do their own thing and see how they like it. These were the comments.
It's frustrating because collectively the 4 conferences created the CSC, and we spent a lot of money. The 4 commissioners spent a lot of money creating the CSC. And so then to have 2 of the conferences not want to adhere to it is perplexing to me, because then it's like, well, why did we spend the money? If you didn't want rules, then why did you create this entity? That's what's frustrating to me. The same people that say they want rules only want rules if they don't apply to them. I mean, I said it 3 years ago. Let them break away. I'd say I would turn it around and say we should break away from them. Let them go, but they have to go in all their sports and see how fun it is to play baseball and softball and track when it's just the 20 of you.
Okay. Now, for what it's worth, Pollard was asked to clarify his comments, and he said, what I was referencing was just frustration with what we all agreed to spend a whole bunch of money to create the system, that's the CSC, to move forward with. And then in the new era, and 2 of the conferences clearly don't want to follow what they created. So it's a waste of money, a waste of everybody's time. Now, what he's referencing, by the way, of course, is in the House settlement last year, everyone agreed to create the CSC. That's the Collegiate Sports Commission. That's that independent third party run by Deloitte that oversees the NIL deals. And so it all has to be approved for market value. They also agreed in the House settlement for the cap of revenue share at $20.5 million. And so what he's saying is, the quote is, we entered into a $1 billion settlement within college athletics that said there was going to be a cap in revenue sharing. and the cap became the floor. Obviously, the cap on revenue share, what he's referring to is the floor now, because all the teams now are trying to build NIL deals on top of the $20 million. And teams and programs like Iowa State get left behind. A couple of things here. Ross Dellinger had a great piece at Yahoo. Very extensive piece, if you want to go read it, where he illustrated a lot of the frustration with roughly $150 million in NIL deals that are still being held up by the CSC that have been unapproved. So you have a lot of teams, programs, maybe promising, wink, wink, NIL money to players via NIL through the CSC, and the CSC isn't getting the money to the players. So the question is, can you really promise or discuss these NIL numbers with athletes if it's not getting through the CSC? That's one point of frustration. But the other thing that I think is maybe more relevant is where Jamie Pollard there said, see, for the 20 of them, see how fun it is if they go play each other. I'm paraphrasing, right? Now, y'all know I'm not really good at math. How many teams are in the Big Ten? Muse, help me out here. Big Ten, how many teams are in the Big Ten?
18.
Okay. How many are in the SEC?
16.
18 and 16 is 28. 18 and 10 is 28 and 6 is 30. 34?
34.
I'm not good at math, but I can do 18 plus 16. That's 34, right?
That's 34.
How many teams are in the NFL?
32.
32 teams in the NFL. Seated coast to coast?
Coast to coast, yes.
32 coast to coast. Does it feel like we don't have enough NFL teams?
No.
Well, Major League Baseball. Do we not have enough? Do we need more of those?
No. No, 30's good.
NBA? We need more of those?
No.
Probably going to get.
I was about to say
probably going to get a couple more either way.
2 more, but they're good.
The point is, having a little fun at Pollard's expense here. The SEC and the Big Ten cover the footprint of the United States. You got the East Coast, you got the West Coast, you got the Southeast, Southwest, the flyover states, but the question is, do you really need the flyover states? There's some brands that would certainly participate. Look, you've got Oklahoma, Nebraska, Iowa. I mean, you do have some of them that check the boxes. Like, every year USA Today does a NCAA finance review. This was 2024. This is the most recent one I found. Maybe the 2025 numbers aren't completely done yet. So this was for the 2024 fiscal year. I'm going to read off some. So this was actually like Texas's last year in the Texas and Oklahoma there last year in the Big 12. I'm going to read off these schools. These are the highest revenue schools. I want you to tell me what they have in common. Okay? Play along with me here, all right? So, Ohio State, this is 24, because this was the last year Texas was in the Big 12. We don't have all the numbers yet for 25. Ohio State, $251 million. Texas, $239. Bama, $214. Michigan, Georgia. Tell me if you see a theme. LSU, Texas A&M, Florida.
Yeah, I got the theme, I think.
I'll go on.
Okay.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Auburn. Michigan State. Indiana. Got anything?
Yeah, they're all in the Big Ten and SEC.
Yeah. So 14 is Virginia, oddly enough. I wouldn't have thought that would have been the first one to break the streak.
That actually is surprising.
But there they are. Then Florida State. Then Kentucky. Clemson.
Okay.
Tennessee. Oregon. Arkansas. Iowa. Wisconsin.
Oh.
Louisville. And Illinois. Washington.
Another one.
Nebraska. South Carolina. Missouri, Minnesota, Ole Miss. You get it, right? Okay. That's the top 30. And Virginia, who did I say? Virginia.
Louisville.
Clemson,
Florida State.
Florida State. Is that it? That's only 4?
That was a 4.
So of the top 30 revenue athletic departments, 26 of the 30 are SEC or Big Ten. And by the way, my guess is when the SEC, Big Ten seed or college football seeds, right? This is a thing I've been talking about literally since the summer of 2011 when we had that giant seismic shift in college football, that this was an inevitability. A lot of people didn't see it then. I told you 15 years ago, like this was an inevitability. We are going to have college football like you have the NFL. The NFC South doesn't have its own TV contract. We're going to get to a point where it's not SEC, Big Ten, ACC, Big 12, all with their own TV contracts. The superpowers are going to come together, invite only or buy-in, whatever it is, 40 teams, 50 teams, however many it is, and they will collectively have one TV contract, one scheduling mechanism, one postseason. Like we are headed, that is an inevitability. It's the only way to make this work financially at its apex. I mean, you don't have to guess. The pro leagues are doing it. And the counter argument is, well, then college sports come pro sports. Yeah. Where you been for the last 40 years? What do you think this has always been? It's always been about escalating revenues. I laugh at people who blame NIL is ruining the sport. No. The players deciding they want to be paid didn't ruin the sport. The adults deciding to turn this into a billion-dollar annual endeavor is what ruined the sport, because that started this inevitable process. Because when you start generating revenues, it never stops. Like, do you think Apple wants to stop being profitable? Do you think Amazon wants to stop making more money? Do you think the biggest companies in the world, GE, Exxon, Shell, like, you think they're going to be satisfied? They're not going to be interested in making more money? You think NFL owners are not going to be interested in making more money one day? Yo. The adults in the room started us down this path. There is an inevitable end of the road, and it's with college football breaking away and operating independently as just one college football. And Iowa State, Jamie Pollard, is not going to be invited to the party. And it's going to be just fine. I don't need Iowa State. If they want to play, cool. You love the Cy-Hawk Trophy. I'm sure there's just quite literally tens of people that care about the Cy-Hawk Trophy. I'm not one of them. Every day, every year at the end of the college football season, I'm like, man, whew, great season, man. Great season, great playoff, good championship. Could use a little more Cy-Hawk in my life, though. We're good. And he's ticked because Matt Campbell just left his football program for Penn State and took, 23 players, something like that? Because he just got gutted. And so I understand his emotional response to that, being the Iowa State athletic director. But it doesn't change the reality of the situation. We're all, as college football loving people, going to be just fine watching the sport we love when we get to see a full schedule of games when power opponents play power opponents. We no longer have to watch the trash that they force feed us against G5 and FCS and all that nonsense that nobody wants to watch. A real postseason Like big brands on the field every Saturday, full stadiums, all the things you love, pageantry, fight songs, everything. That hot garbage I watched in Tiger Stadium in November with LSU against Western Kentucky, that's the sacred regular season you're trying to protect. Kick rocks. It's the stupidest argument ever. Iowa State's just not going to be a part of it. And he knows it. And so they'll break off, and there'll be different tiers, and they'll go do their own thing, and maybe they'll be governed by the NCAA. I don't know. I don't really care. I don't really care what they do. I'm an elitist. Have a bake sale if you want new uniforms. But that's the reality of where we're headed. And it's going to be better for college football. It's going to be better for you and for me and for the fans who consume the product. And when they're independent, they will legitimately be able to cap the earnings and have a salary cap and have rules that govern everyone under that umbrella. And the quicker we get there, all of this stuff that makes everyone so uncomfortable settles down. And we're headed there. And we're going to get there, although we're dragging some of you kicking and screaming. All right, it's after further review. Final break of hour number 2. Used to do Tigers and the Bros. Stay here.
AFR.
If you're hiring, man, you need Glow Resources. Matt, hiring for what? Anything. You need skilled blue-collar labor? Glow Resources. Got office jobs you can't fill? Office assistant all the way up to the C-suite? Glow Resources. See, they interview roughly 50 people a day. So over the course of a year, you're talking about 15,000 interviews that Glow Resources conducts. So they know the questions to ask, how to vet the people to find the right people for the exact job you're looking to fill. And they're so good at what they do that they guarantee it. At Glow Resources, if they hire an employee for you, they guarantee, if for whatever reason it doesn't work, they will give you a prorated refund or they'll find you a new employee for free. But they have a 96% success rate. Like, it's going to work. It's Glow Resources. Check them out, GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Kiffin was on Pardon My Take, broke his silence. We'll get to some of that here in about a dozen minutes from right now. Right now, Muso has Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, Dylan Cruz made his season debut for the Washington Nationals on Tuesday night after being called back up from AAA. 1 for 4 on the night for Cruz, split time in center field and right field. The one hit was a single. Nats are back in action here against the Mets again on Wednesday. Grant Taylor picked up his first save of this season. Pitched a scoreless 9th inning, struck out the side actually for the White Sox as they beat the Mariners 2-1. ERA 1.78 for Grant Taylor here so far in 2026, and now 1 save to go along with a whole mess of holds. Tampa Bay Rays in action with the Orioles last night. Big night for our guy. Big night for our guy, Hunter Fiducia.
Let's go.
And the Rays. 2 for 3, including his first home run of the season. That opened the scoring in the second inning to give Tampa Bay a 1-0 lead. He would also add a single later in the game as well. Drove in a run, obviously, on the homer. Did have the one punch out, but he's hitting 278 here so far on the season now with his first home run. What?
In the second? They didn't score in the second. I'm looking at the box score.
You're looking at today's game.
No, this was yesterday.
Well, I'm looking at yesterday's game as well.
It was 1-1 after 1, then there was a single run by the Rays in the bottom of the 6th. And then
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Stand by. Was this today?
You're looking.
Maybe I had today's game.
He homered in today's game.
He homered in today's game.
Because last night, the Rays
second.
last night was one of Otterlock's, which hit.
Yep.
Otter had himself
That's
a day.
my mistake. I pulled up the wrong game, but that's the one I wanted. 2 for 3 today for Hunter Fiducia. Homer, first of the year in the second inning. He's doing well. Aaron Nola was on the bump today. 5 innings.
Otter had himself a night last night.
All right, we like to hear that. 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned for Nola. Didn't walk anybody and punched out 5. Phillies did take the L. Nola now 2-4 on the season. And Anthony Ianson was on the bump for the Portland Sea Dogs a night ago. 5 hitless innings, 5 shutout innings, 3 walks, 4 Ks. Got his first AA win. His ERA is 1. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, 924-2020. You want to see 2020? Easy. Call 924-2020. Let this be the push, y'all. If you have thought about LASIK and you've just put it on hold for whatever reason, maybe you were told you weren't a candidate for LASIK. I was years ago. It turns out I was a perfect candidate for LASIK. Technology evolves. There are options for you. Stop shoving contacts in your eyes. Stop reaching for those readers. Stop being blind as you walk your way to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Open your eye and just see. Eyes, both of them. Williamson Eye Center. WilliamsonEye.com. Hour 3 next.
AFR.
All right, y'all, put a button here on hour number 2. Hey, as I sit here in studio, I can hear the rumbly, tumbly of the thunder outside. If it's raining, it stormed last night. It's raining again today. Of course, it's May in Louisiana. And storm season is 11 days away. So if you have issues with your roof, we'd love to help you out at Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. Winner of the best roofing company in the Best of Ascension in 2025. And just recently, Parish was awarded the best roofing company in the Best of Baton Rouge and The Advocate here for 2026. So if you got an issue with your roof, leak, see granules at your downspouts, repairs, replacements, gutters, soft wash, commercial, residential, we do it all. We'd love to help you out. Do business with someone you know. Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com.